Okay, let's start there. So recording to the cloud is started. We will not make the standard procedure by having a PowerPoint starting, me showing you some boring status about the IGEL community. No, this time we will have our product management presenting the latest news on our Cosmos launch, not only speaking about what the product is, because we know that most of you already attended our Disrupt events, already attended other Meetup that we are talking about the product, but also speaking about some fun facts, also having you asking questions. So in that case, I'm not asking you to use the Q&A section as in every webinar. No, you are allowed to ask the questions, and depending on the topic, depending on the content during the presentation. So we'll make a short start now with Mali, who will do an introduction about the Cosmos ecosystem, then having it handed over to every product owner, like Florian Strobl, like Siegfried Mang, like Michali Maridakis, also having Florian Strobl speaking. And let me just rename Michali because he's joining with the wrong name. It's not your fault, it's my fault. So let me just switch to that one. So we have also René Recker, which is joining the IGEL community team since a month now. René, how are you?
I'm really good and really excited to see all the people here today. As you said, we going also future-wise, making it more dynamic, more interactive. We started today with the first try to have this as a meeting and not as a webinar. So if you have any question, raise it in the chat, raise your hand, or you're free to speak. And I think it's really good to have today also feedback from you, because we got a lot of feedback already in the last 1.5 weeks around Cosmos. And today you have the chance to meet the persons behind Cosmos and raise your question here.
And the good thing that you have now face to every product owner. So for more or less every part of our IGEL Cosmos. Christian Werner is not there, and Dennis Van Dam neither. Both of them had other appointment they couldn't cancel. So we have all the rest of product management team now in the call. So I would say we make the start. Mali, are you ready to rock the stage?
Yes, I am. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our session. So unfortunately, I have to say I have some PowerPoint slides, even if they are sometimes boring. But that's just take it as a red line of our presentation. We can skip if there are some topics you don't want to discuss, or just interrupt us. Feel free to interrupt us with any questions you might have, or with any comments you want to give us as a feedback. So,
just in case, I mentioned my PowerPoints are boring, not yours.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but as a small gift, we're not just having PowerPoint, we also will do a live demo, hopefully exciting for you. So let's start with the PowerPoint and then come back to the more interactive part. As already introduced by, I hope you can see my slides, by the way.
We do.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
We do.
Yeah, perfect.
What a great team.
Yeah, I really feel honest to be part of such a great team. I'm Mali. The short name for Mali Findik is just Mali. I'm leading the product management. Florian Strobl is today here. He's the product line owner for the complete management part, so the UMS, the ICG things. And he's also owning the ILP, the license portal, but that will give a handover to Dennis Van Dam, who is responsible for the cloud service. And as Sebastian mentioned, he unfortunately he cannot make it today. Then we have Michali, who is our product manager for our hardware. And if I say our hardware, I mean, of course, the certification of the third-party hardware with IGEL, so he's responsible for. And Siegfried is our product owner for all the apps running on our beautiful IGEL 12, but more in a minute. So just really setting the scenes, what we have today, at least in the field. So of course, we already launched Cosmos, and we do have UMS 12 and UMS 12 and OS 12 in release. But with what you will find in the field and what our promise is, that we are enabling the access to the different clouds from IGEL 11, and mainly focused on selecting one solution and connecting to those with OS 12 from any device and any cloud. So, but what is the feature of work? And you will see it 3 times the word hybrid, and it makes really sense to fully understand what we mean, at least with hybrid. So hybrid work in that context means just on-site, working on-site in the company, or remotely from home office, but any other location in the world could be used to work from. And that's really what we define as the hybrid work. And when it comes to hybrid cloud, what does that mean? When we mean hybrid cloud, we mean really the access to different cloud stacks at the same time. And why is that so important? Because with more and more specification of applications and desktops, you're not any more responsible for providing the solution and defining the tech stack of the cloud. It's just there, and it's provided by different vendors with their selection of clouds. And this leads into the question of how we can enable you by using different cloud infrastructures at the same time. And the same goes for apps. In the past, it was an app, it was running in Windows. Windows was running on-prem or in the cloud. It doesn't care, it doesn't mind. But when we talk about hybrid apps, in addition to that, what we already support in OS 11, there is a need for providing applications as streamed applications seamlessly into IGEL OS desktop integrated, or any other applications natively running on IGEL OS, or even just web applications running as in a SaaS context by utilizing the browser running on top of IGEL OS. And that's what we call the 3 hybrids: work, cloud, and apps. So what is the architecture if we define that as a future? As you can see, we're still connecting to different cloud providers, cloud infrastructures. But at the same time, we are starting to use applications natively on IGEL OS, independent of it's a web application running in the browser, or really a Linux-based application running natively on IGEL OS. And that's what we see as a feature of OS 12, and that's why we defined and designed OS 12 like we've done it today. So at the end, it's not just an operating system which was introduced on the 18th of April, and we're really proud of what we've achieved. I hope you see that in the same manner. It's the whole platform, and the platform is called IGEL Cosmos, including the operating system, the endpoint management, but also some of additional cloud services to make it more secure, to make it more cost effective, and all the great things like sustainability to get more out of that. So what is Cosmos? Cosmos is the secure endpoint platform, including, as I said, the 3 components. And that's, by the way, something which we use to restructure our product management. So we have somebody really responsible for the whole product line, the operating system. That's Christian Werner, or the management components, which is Florian, with the UMS 12 in the focus, of course, but also the cloud services, which is completely new in the product management as our own product line. And that's why we have hired Dennis van Dam, located in the Netherlands, who is responsible for the whole cloud services within the product management. So what does that mean in a little bit more detail? So cloud services in the upper layer is helping you to get the most of our products by making it more flexible, more easy to use, meaning things like updating applications with the app portal and the updating service behind the app portal, or the easy way of onboarding devices with our onboarding service. And there is a new one, completely more or less new into that direction of the cloud services. It's called the Insight service. And I need to be a little honest, as it is at the moment, it is more what we gather as information. What the idea behind is that we will do recommendation based off the information we gathered from the different environments to make the usage, the best usage out of our product portfolio. I will skip a little bit the UMS in detail because Florian will talk about more about this. What you can see here is something important. We are not just supporting the latest operating system, OS 12 with UMS 12. We also support OS 11 because there are use cases around which where OS 11 fits better, and some of them which OS 12 is the better choice. And the why you would prefer one of the other will hopefully get clarified within the next couple of minutes. At least what I can say is very brief and very general, that OS 12 is of course the leading operating system and will get more and more features, so that we targeting a timeline of I would say 12 months to have feature parity between OS 11 and OS 12. But that does not mean we will stop providing OS 11 in 12 months. We'll provide that a little bit longer. So great news for all of you who are using our current product portfolio with OS 11 and UMS 6. As long as you're in maintenance or even have a active subscription, you're entitled to use the Cosmos platform. And I think that's really good news for everybody, which means just no additional costs, although we added a bunch of cool features into our new platform. You're able to use it without additional costs. The agenda for today is the platform itself. We'll talk about the 3 new things, OS 12, UMS 12, and the cloud service, but also we'll give a short information about what is happening with existing solutions with OS 11 and UMS 6. Just briefly to remind that the timeline, we had a phase before GA. Some of you might notice that the released version does not end with 100, but with 110. And this is because we had a phase of a month before we give some of you who are attending the early access program access to the new versions before we go before we went GA on April 18th. The next version, the next upcoming version, will be around end of July, beginning of August for the next release. So let's look at the new cool feature of OS 12. But before we do that, let's talk about OS 11. As I said, OS 11, we are committed to provide OS 11 maintenance, including security patches for OS 11 till end of 2025, a huge time, I would say, meaning that we will do rolling releases and what we call the stable releases, more or less 4-month cadence releases, and features will be backported to OS 11 if there is a business need behind. But there is no commitment from our side. Normally, new features will go into OS 12. So let's have a look on OS 12. What is really new and what is really cool about OS 12? OS 12 has a focus in mind to provide usability and in regards of, for example, mobile use cases. And so we decided to reinvent more or less the whole desktop. But that's not implemented completely currently, meaning that we have started to implement portions of the new desktops, with new icons and logos, with the complete new setup system, which makes it really easy to consume the onboarding service, with a notification center, an area within the desktop where you can see a consolidated notifications from the base system, but also from the application itself. And this will lead us to, in the coming months, to a completely full modern desktop, which from a technology perspective will really be reinvented and based in with new technology, web-based technologies like HTML5 and CSS, and some of them are already available within the setup assistant notification center and in the tray applications, which we already implemented with the new technology stack. But let's have a short look into the setup system. It's brand new. You can easily onboard a device with simple questions, and if you have a cloud identity, you could use that cloud identity to establish a trust to that device and authenticate yourself against your onboarding service and then to your UMS. But for all of you who do not own a cloud identity, could use the classic way with a one-time password provided by the administrator to onboard your device. So the onboarding service is not mandatory, but optional. Yeah. As I said, the new user experience of OS 12 is covered by focusing on mobile usages, meaning that things like switching your workplace, including the connectivity to your docking station, or just roaming around with Wi-Fi, these are in the focus of and the priority of the user experience of OS 12. And some of them are already implemented, as I said, with the new tray application, but others will come in soon. So let's have just a look into the screenshots. What I mentioned before, that's how the new notification center is looking like. And you see, well, probably you can't see because it's a little bit too small, I don't know. There are some information about what happens in the background, like apps are going to be installed or any other operating system not.
Is Mali frozen only for me, or?
No.
Oh.
So I hope that Mali is not working with IGEL right now, but with macOS. So we might just have to take over his part for the next minute. So he is presenting, so I might have to stop his presentation. But what I would like to share on that state is that we listen to you guys, we listen to the community, we listen to our partners, to our resellers, but also to our customers, and having our notifications a little bit more granular than we did in the past. And we all know that we are connecting mostly to terminal services, to cloud services, no question. But finally, we listened to you and we saw that we also have a local environment we have to manage, that we have also a local desktop where the user is working, especially if you think about Wi-Fi connection, especially if you think about printer configuration, but also about display configuration. And my hope is, I mean, it's not something that we can cover right away, but that we are still working, and I promise we are doing it, working on the display switcher, working on local configurations like printer stuff. We already have a great tool set built around it by having Xrelay commands, having scripts from Romnea on GitHub side. But we need something which is user-friendly in terms of similar to what we have on Windows, similar to what we have on other operating systems. So I can just promise we are working on that. Siegfried, you were the next person in the queue, right? Are you able to present? And in the meantime, we could maybe have Renee covering a question that was covered in the chat.
Yeah, Martin's back, it seems. So
I'm back. I'm so sorry.
Okay, perfect. Good. You're working with macOS, right? Not with IGEL.
That's just because I need a hypervisor on my device. So normally I'm running OS 12 for for a presentation, but for the live demo, I switched to my Mac. I was having a having VMware as a hypervisor. But it
so I don't know
seems
if you listen to the last to the sentences, Mali, but would you like to take over the presentation mode again and present the PowerPoint, or should Sigi take over?
I think I can do.
Okay.
I'm trying to get back.
So we'll just give you
your slide.
Yeah, give you a
second.
couple of seconds to do that. In the meantime, if you're able to listen, Renee had a question from the chat you would like to share with you.
Yeah, René Wiegler asked around the post-session commands. That seems missing in OS 12 at the moment. We know, and you mentioned, yeah, well, there will be further releases, but do you have any information what the plan is around post-session commands?
Seems Mali frozen again.
Okay, so I would say, Sigi, would you be so kind to take over the presentation then?
Yeah, I will open it.
That's perfect. And by the way, Fred Bratzig just mentioned something which is true. We implemented the virtual box into the IGEL operating system, at least on OS 11. So if you are needing to run an hypervisor, don't do it like Mali is doing. Do it in the right way and use the IGEL OS. But that's another topic. Also, thanks to Ronair, who is sharing Cosmos frequently asked questions that he published on the IGEL Community GitHub documentation page. So if you look at the chat, he just shared the link there. It's definitely one of the best documents you can get on questions that you have on the product. So just in case you missed it, please look at igel-community.github.io, and from there you can go to IGEL Docs. Sigi, are you ready? Okay, no, if not, I can get you to sing something if you like, or maybe dance my own name. Nah, just kidding. In the meantime, we will just cover another question. And even if we are a little bit too early, yes, Leon, we will cover a dark mode point in the presentation. Not sure if we can share an e-time to that moment, but it's definitely part of what we will share later. I see Florian already, yeah, already answered in the Q&A, so perfect. We can maybe ask another question in the meet. Yeah?
Whenever you are, so I can.
Yeah, take over, please.
At least for my part, so.
Perfect.
Okay. So I hope you can see it now.
Yeah, it's there. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. So maybe it's better when I'm doing this, since I'm not quite sure if I need, say, more next than an old show in MTB in the past to Mali. So yeah, my part was the IGEL 12 plus apps. So maybe that's a perfect solution for my environment. So also sorry for the PowerPoint slides here, but maybe it will not be boring, I hope so. So that's
already dark. It's already dark. So you will also have, you will all, at least having Leon be happy.
Will be fine. So, like I said, right. So that's IT guy. So this is the one who's managed the IT environment. This is what he thinks about. But managing the IT environment, maybe that's a Citrix environment, and the Citrix environment also have maybe Zoom, Cisco WebEx, Chromium security updates. I think you will get it right. So it's not just one thing in the environment, it needs to be up to date. So this is a question mark, which will be maybe an exclamation mark in the end. So why apps? With OS 11, we had the part where we have provided 11.50.100, just an example, with the current Citrix receiver, WebEx client, and Chromium. But let's wait. Hey, there's a new Citrix update here. Okay, let's build a new OS 11. Now we have Citrix 2302 and new Cisco WebEx client integrated and security fixes for Chromium were available. So all within the new firmware. The problem here maybe is also within your environment, you still need Cisco WebEx 4.10. So will you move? I'm not quite sure. But hey, Chromium has an important security fix out here. So 112. And in the meantime, as Citrix was updated. but you have not tested it yet. So you need to stay on 23.02. So what would be the perfect solution your end here? You would need the 23.02 since you have tested it, the 4.10 client for Cisco WebEx since this is compatible with your environment, and for sure Chromium 112, which have the most security fixes to be up to date. There you see, so you have several options here. You can change your environment. Well, you will not do it mostly, right? Not in the short term. You can stay with all the OS 11 versions, which maybe for security reasons is not a good idea here. Or you wait for IGEL that provides this firmware in the end here with all the clients you need for your environment. You see, that's a lot of mess. So here's where OS 12 comes in. With OS 12, you just take care mainly on the base system version. In this case, 12.50.200, which is the most current version, all security updates integrated. And after that, you will choose your apps. So now you can build your own OS 12 with the base version you need and the clients which are provided and compatible with the 12.50.200 version. Maybe there are some clients in the future which are not compatible with this version since they have some scripts required and so on, but the main idea here, right, is to have your base version with the apps version you need to build your own OS 12 version, which fits to your environment. So which apps are available? I don't want to talk all over this slides. You see, Conky is there, slides, and you can just open app.igel.com and you will see all the applications which are currently available from IGEL, which can be put on the IGEL OS 12, which works.
So Ziggy, one question in the chat. So does Syntax, for example, update the apps, or are we doing this at the moment? So Sebastian mentioned at the moment we are doing this, but do you have any information how it is planned future-wise?
So maybe for general, we are working with every partner in this case. So some of them generate or created by themselves just to be more flexible and to be up to date every time. Other partners like with Citrix, currently we are creating them by ourselves. So this is also information you will see in the app portal with the app. You will see the vendor of the app and you will see the author of the app. The author is the one who's built the app. The vendor is the one from whose the app original is created. So for Citrix, we are building it since we are also adjusting all the scripts and so on for our base system.
Okay, thanks.
But maybe in 10 years, all the partners will build by themselves. I'm not sure. So just a few apps which are on the backlog. So we are going for sure with Windows 365, the PVR app for Teams, which is a current topic right for Linux and for sure for other applications. The BIOS tools, cross-match, fingerprint drivers, the IGEL View Other agent will be up there soon, and some dictations supports here for Philips Munich and Olympus. After that, like I said, we are working with the partners. So some of them will provide an app in the near future by themselves. With others we are assisting to, and another one will be also built by ourselves. So not be really, we are raising the amount of apps from time to time rapidly, in my opinion.
There's just maybe a question, sorry to ask in between, but it just fits perfectly in the IGEL Ready wheel that you just showed. There was a question in the chat, which is, will we be able to develop private apps for OS 12? If so, how is that accomplished? I know we're jumping in and we have a Q&A at the end of your slides, but could you maybe share some insights regarding SDK maybe?
Yeah, so yeah, SDK is the right word for this. So we are currently working with SDK, but with partners exclusive. This is why we still have the custom partition feature still in place. For the future, it's planned to have a custom solution, I would say, for the end user, for the end users in this case. We are not quite defined how it will look like. If it will be an offline app portal which you can use by yourself, or so there's just some ideas currently But that's the reason why we still stick to the custom partition feature. So this is still a part of OS 12 and can be used for this. But with partners, we are working for the SDK as to prepare the documentation, have more integrated into our system and so on.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Problem. Just some technical stuff, no, so not just the PM stuff here to get a high level. Maybe some points we need to consider. So here we have app dependencies now. Maybe you know it already for Ubuntu and so on. If you're installing an app, it's else and checks your system and says, okay, maybe you also need package ABC because you don't have it on system. Do you want to install it as well? This is something like we have also with OS 12 here. Maybe you need a multimedia codec for your Citrix app or some plugins in this case from Fablotech. So just to have in mind, this is something which the system checks by himself. So the IGEL OS on the Linux side checks, okay, is there a dependency? Yes, I will download it automatically if I can, so if I have the connections. Also to download the apps, there is notification token required. So for your interest, the notification token will be delivered by the UMS. UMS if it's managed. UMS needs to be registered in Service Hub and App Portal. And if the device is unmanaged, this notification token is just bounded from the license. So it's valid as long as the license is valid. And to get more deep into technical stuff, I just pointed here some debug information for you. So you can activate the debug logging for the base system if you have issues with apps. So it's also provide information for the apps. The parameters of all the apps can now found in the registry on the app dot, and then you have the app name, example, Citrix app.cwa. And in the past, all the start scripts for apps were on the config/sessions. Now we have the app name after sessions.
I may just jump in, and if you just go back, yeah, perfect, to one point that we discussed today with Dennis and Bubble from ControlUp. There are some DX commands used by ControlUp which are not working at the moment due to another registry path. So just in case someone is using ControlUp and is watching our recording, we are working on it. We will keep you posted in the IGEL community as soon as possible.
Thanks, Seth. Last but not least, so we have a new debug logging options parameters, which you're seeing here, the firmware update in the IGEL desktop. Firmware update is also for logging for apps, updates of installing, and IGEL desktop for the config dual look you're seeing here, which Mali will show afterwards in also, and the setup assistant, which he mentioned. And that's what it from my side.
That's lovely. So let me just grab the question that Renee already asked. Mali, if you are there, are you able to talk?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. Glad you are back. Renee just asked a question. So Renee Biegler and Renee Reckert took over the question. So to make it even more complicated, I'm taking over the question now regarding the post-session comments. Seems like an important feature which is missing in OS 12. Do we have any plans of use what the next steps are on post-session comments in OS 12 you would like to share maybe?
Yes, we have that on our roadmap, and the reason why we not provided that functionality with GA is that the post commands will move away from the base system to each application, and that needs some rework. But it is on the roadmap. It has priority. Not sure if it's coming next or the version after. So meaning I'm not sure if it's 12.02 or 12.03, which is planned for providing the post command functionality with each application.
But so we have a rough plan to say in the next weeks, not to say month, we should get the feature integrated, right?
So we're working on
roughly.
it. I'm not sure if it's really part of the next version 12.02 or a 1203. That's what I'm not really sure. That need to be double checked with Christian, who has a schedule in mind.
But we do plenty for 2023.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much, Mali. Okay, there is another question, maybe.
And another topic that went up in our community the last week, I would say, was implementation of RDP clients. Is there, or how is the strategy implementing RDP clients?
Yeah, so I think this is something on my desk. So regarding the RDP client, our goal is to have it based on the new client. Based on the new client means based on the same client which provides AVD functionality and for the Windows 365, which also will have an on-premise solution here. It will be the near future, I would say. So we have it already mostly done, but for sure not with all the features you maybe know from the past. Since just not can be copy-paste from the IGEL DP2 client or the free RDP client, maybe it's the technical stuff for the based on. So all the virtual channel stuff and so on needs to be also adapted to the new client. But the new client, I think it's the way to go. So we will start with a limited function, but we will start with an RDP client, which is also following in the near future.
Because, yeah, that's great. I mean, the RDP stuff is always told to be dead since years, but we still have a lot of customers who are using that, let's say, a simple but quite effective way to have a remote desktop started. So that's, I wouldn't say the most painful point that we are missing in OS 12, but if you have it on the backlog and on the roadmap, that would definitely help a lot of customers in the IGEL community and also make the people wanting to move from OS 11 to OS 12 quite soonish if we have such kind of features integrated. So great to hear that. Thank you very much. Okay. Other questions, guys. Like we told, you're always allowed to unmute yourself, talk over, or if you don't want to ask lively, you can still put your question in the chat or in the Q&A section if you prefer. So we give you a couple of seconds or maybe a minute to do so. If not, we could go to the next topic. Siegfried, it would maybe make sense to have you presenting the next slides too, or Michali, are you able to, Michali is the next one, right?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Perfect. Mali, it would make sense, right, to have maybe someone else presenting in case you are dropping?
And dropped. That's an answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, Michali, what do you prefer? Do you want to take over the presentation or should Siegfried do it instead of you?
Both okay for me. So just let me know.
Perfect.
So it seems Sigi is already.
I think we only have some slides, so I can push the next button.
Okay.
Lovely.
Okay. Then
Thank you,
just
guys.
keep it. Yeah, that's more easier. Okay. All right. So by the way, I also have some internet problems, so I hope it will be okay for the time I will be presenting, and I hope that you can hear me well. Hello from my side, Michali Maridakis. I am going to give you some details with regards to hardware support with IGEL OS. So Siegfried, if you will move please to the next slide. So just for reference, you may have heard already of the IGEL Ready program. So IGEL has a program in place called IGEL Ready, with which we are processing all certifications and validations in IGEL for endpoint devices, but also as well for, of course, in the future apps and software and peripherals, but here now focusing on endpoint devices. We have created, you may have heard about that in the past in the news or from press releases from our partners. We have established very strategic partnerships, especially with HP, Lenovo, and LG. But of course, we have also several other hardware partners who have joined the IGEL Ready program and are also certifying their models. That way, we have now that for some time in place, and we really can offer a very wide lineup of supported devices in that field. That includes stationary thin clients, classic thin client devices, all-in-one devices, which include a monitor and the a computer unit in them. We have mobile platforms, several mobile platforms from all those three manufacturers. And as I have mentioned earlier, there are also other partners, smaller partners in the game, which are capable of offering specialized devices. For instance, we have some partners who offer industrial products that can be used in special environments with higher temperatures or vibrations or whatsoever. So you are going to find really a very wide lineup of products that are available with IGEL OS, certified from IGEL. For your information, IGEL is offering 2 levels of certification. We have a level of certification. This is the entry level of IGEL Ready this is the IGEL Ready activated level, whereas partners can run test kits, endpoint test kits provided from IGEL, and also software and tools provided from IGEL, and they can test and submit a test report to IGEL where they can prove that it is okay, that all test items have been passed. And those devices are tested and supported from the partner, only from the partner. And we have the advanced level. That level is referring to models which are tested and certified from both the partner and IGEL. That means IGEL has test samples of those models in IGEL, in our development and QA, and they are running all required tests. And that way we can ensure that those models are really optimized and can offer the very best experience with IGEL OS. Last but not least, let me also mention here, and those models, of course, those models are also supported from IGEL and the partner. So if you will have a hardware-related issue with those models, then you can submit a support ticket to IGEL and we will take care of it. Let me here highlight that we have, in the meantime, really various models available with preloaded IGEL OS. So those models are pre-installed with IGEL OS in the factories of our partners. For instance, all 3, HP, Lenovo, and LG, have several models out of their product lineup which are preloaded with IGEL OS and are shipped directly into their distributors in all geographies worldwide. And that way also we can offer a best possible experience to our customers, because they're receiving the models pre-installed with IGEL OS and they just need to switch on the devices and they're ready to run with IGEL OS, and they can have any updates or whatever may be needed. Siegfried, if you will please move to the next slide. So you may have asked yourself now, where can I find that information? Which models from HP, Lenovo, and LG, or any other partner who is in the IGEL Ready program, where can I find that information? Which models are supported, and starting from which version, from which IGEL OS version are those models supported? There are 2 very important sites. One is the knowledge base, which probably many of you are already familiar with. There are overviews in the hardware section of the knowledge base. You can find overviews of both OS 11 as well as OS 12 specifically, which we are talking about today. And there you can see which models are supported from IGEL, and also the IGEL Ready showcase website. There our partners, HP, Lenovo, and LG, and all other partners are providing IGEL. Whenever a model is supported, they are providing IGEL with collaterals, with data sheets, and all that information that is then being uploaded onto that IGEL Ready showcase website. Last but not least, there are a lot of models upcoming. We really are strongly increasing the amount of models that are going to be supported with IGEL OS throughout this year and in the future. But just to give you a short overview of what is upcoming on new models, for instance, the HP Pro T550. This is a stationary thin client in the middle segment of thin clients models. So just as a reference, you may know from the past the UD3. So this is somewhere positioned there. It's the successor of the well-established
And here we go, Germany. So just in case someone is there from over the pond, like from the US or Canada, if you think that Germany is a highly technical country,
sorry?
it's a lie. It's a lie. No, Michali, you dropped your internet connectivity was gone for a second.
Okay,
if you
sorry.
like, no, good. Just turn off your webcam in Zoom and try to repeat the last 2 minutes, maybe.
Okay. Okay, so where until when could you hear me?
Speaking about the LG.
About what? About
LG.
LG.
Yeah.
So
The only one.
Okay, thank you. Okay, no, I was talking about the Lenovo ThinkPad L14. Actually, I wasn't yet in the LG sentence, so that's okay. So we're going to support the ThinkPad L14 based on Intel Gen 3. And this model is already supported also with an AMD platform. It's available on both platforms, Intel and AMD. And the exciting thing about this model is that it will be the first model which will have LTE support. And last but not least, the LG 24CQ650i all-in-one model, that will be an all-in-one model from LG. And by the way, whenever you see an I at the end of the LG model, as it is stated here, you can know that it is pre-installed with IGEL OS. So this is where the I comes from at the end of the model naming. And yeah, with that, thank you for your attention. And yeah, if there are any questions, we can go over any question.
That's great. Thank you very much, Michali. So I heard LTE and I heard LG, so my bad. Sorry for that.
Okay, no problem.
I have just one small notice, and then we have a question which was raised. There was a question regarding Lenovo and SKU, so ordering number for the Lenovo parts. We are still in clarification, so as soon as we get the correct model numbers, where to order and which SKU you have to use, we'll share it in the IGEL community. So we are definitely on it. René, I saw you took over a question, right?
I do. So we also saw this in the community where people said, okay, we bought IGEL hardware back in the days, like UD2s with 4 GB storage, 2 GB of RAM, and also using UD3s with similar configuration, which were running really good on OS 11. But officially, there is no support for OS 12. Can you say, is there any chance to get them running, or are they running and are only not supported? Do you have some information there?
I guess Michali.
No, now
you're there?
sorry, yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I'm back again. I have heard the question, René. Thank you so much. So you may have realized already or seen that we have increased the minimum hardware requirements for OS 12 compared to OS 11. And this is because OS 12 requires a little bit more resources compared to OS 11 in the past. And UD2 5 GB.
I would say we should just keep the UD2 topic, right?
Probably I can jump in. I'm
Please.
really sorry for the inconvenience. Apologize for that. The UD2 is out of the hardware specifications of the hardware requirements for OS 12. That's correct. However, we do not technically prohibit the usage of OS 12 on the UD2. So it might depend on your use case. There is a use case available, but in general, it's not supported officially on UD2.
But we know, I mean, we definitely know that the discussion is out there. We all know that not everyone's happy about that. So yeah, we are working to make it functional. We just have to define the correct terms, how to get it supported or not. So we are still in clarification. Thank you very much, Mali, for that. Mali, just because you are there and Ziggy too, and before we go to the next topic, I'm just switching a little bit because the topic is fitting quite good at the moment. There was a question raised from René Biegler about the upgrade process from OS 11 to OS 12. Any topics you would like to share on that, maybe?
Yeah, I had that on my slides, but we shouldn't switch back to the slides to just get that answer. We will provide in a Q3 timeframe a light version of the migration path so that you can just upgrade in place, meaning that you do not reinstall from Pixie or USB stick. So you will have the possibility to upgrade from OS 11 to OS 12, and we will do that for your convenience more smooth in terms of to support how your profile is going to be upgraded within that migration process. That will be more in Q4. So that's the timeline for the migration paths of OS 11 to OS 12.
So you're telling our listener that we are covering the operating system upgrade, but also the profile update in the future. Let's call it this way.
Yeah, I have to be clear on that the modularization of the operating system by having apps leads into the problem that you do not smoothly can migrate profiles assigned to application. That would be something which you need to manually upgrade in any case, but we will try to support you by having management capacities to have a profile conversation on that. So you will create new profiles for application. That's for sure.
Okay, that makes definitely sense. So, I mean, since we couldn't discuss it at the end of your presentation, I know that most of our listeners are already testing and evaluating OS 12 and UMS 12, but just in case someone is pretty new to the topic, it's not only a kernel updates, not only a partition redesigning that we went through, really redesigned the whole operating system. We also went through a complete new communication channel, so we're not using the standard 30,001, 30,005, etc. ports anymore. We redesigned more or less everything inside of our operating system and our management suite. So that explains also a little bit why we started with a blank UMS 12 communication with OS 12 and not with a migration path from the beginning on, even if it's painful. But as you listen from, as you get the feedback from our product management, we are working on it and we are planning to make that move smoother for you guys, because we all know that deploying an OSC of OS 12 doesn't make sense everywhere. So that's where we are definitely working on it. So thank you very much, Mali.
Yeah, but I can see a question from Ron about the Pixie appliance. We are not planning to provide a Pixie appliance anymore from IGEL itself, but we will support you to use Pixie environments, which is available in the market, by having configuration possibilities in the UMS, which you can export to a Pixie appliance, and then from there using a Pixie boot on IGEL devices.
Lovely. Any other questions regarding hardware, regarding IGEL Ready, regarding IGEL OS? If not, there are some questions in the Q&A, so I will wait a little bit for the next step at the end to speak about the general Q&A. Florian, would you like to take over now?
Yes.
Regarding WUMS.
Perfect. Let me share my screen. Do you see now the UMS 12?
We see a Cosmos.
Perfect. Okay. So I have the honor to present you the new UMS 12. And if you already tested it, you probably see that our development team lifted it to a totally new level. We have a new app management there. We have a fancy profile configuration possibility in the UMS web app. We have license optimizations and a lot of other smaller or bigger features, and I just will go through it quickly. So as Siegfried already explained, we have this new modularized concept with the apps. And with the UMass web app, you can now import all the apps into the UMass. Here you can configure the profiles for the app, and you can roll it out to the device. Important to say here is that we host the app binaries in our cloud service, or it's hosted directly in the UMass, so you don't need an additional infrastructure here. Because I got some questions about that. So with this, with these apps and with the profiles, you can then just create the workspace you really need, app by app, profile by profile. How does the app section look like? Here you see a screenshot of our new UMass web app view. On the left-hand side, you see all the categories of the apps. In the middle, you can then see all the apps in this category. Just one information or one preview here. We are already working on to add more information on the app cards. So in upcoming UMass versions, you will see more relevant information in this middle section. And on the right-hand side, you see all the relevant stuff for you as an admin. You can see the information about the state of the version. Is it the newest version? Is there a new version available? You have the update settings. Here you can configure the level of automation of the update. Here you have different levels. You can say, no, I want to do everything manually. You can check for updates automatically. You can even import new updates automatically in the UMass. And the highest level of automation is that you update the default version of an app to the newest imported version. This sounds a little bit complicated, but the background is that normally if you assign an app to a device, you assign it with a default version. And if you then have a new version available, you probably want to test it before you want to roll it out. And then there's the point where you say, okay, now I want to have it in my company environment. And then you don't have to change the app version for each device or each directory. You just change the default version in this section here. And then all devices that have the default version assigned get the new update. And then on the lower part here, you can see the overview about which versions are imported in the UMass. You can also see which versions are, or how often is this version installed, how often is it assigned, and in how many profiles this app is included. Currently, it's only this overview. As you probably know, we are working on transferring the view feature from the UMass console to the web app. And when we have this view feature in the web app, then we can also provide a feature here to jump, if you click at the profiles, that you can then jump directly to all the profiles that have the app included. So this is a sneak peek for one of the future UMass versions. Also, if the app version is not in use, you can then simply delete it here just to have a clean UMass environment. Talking about profiles, you probably know the issue with the UMass console. You would just want to create one small session for AVD or a terminal session or whatever. You open it and then you see more than 500 pages with thousands of parameters. We totally started from scratch when we designed the new profile configurator. And if you want to configure an OS 12 profile, you first see this new app selector. Here you define which parameters you want to configure in the profile. And then based on that decision, you will then only see the parameters that are necessary. So you don't have all 500 pages here. Of course, you can go back to the app selector if you want to add or remove some applications from the profile. And then, yeah, you can just configure it as you want and you can roll it out. Also important to know is that we have an implicit assignment. That's how we call it. So if you configure a profile or you configure an app with a profile, you just need to assign the profile to the device, and then the configured app is implicitly assigned to the device. So you don't have to assign both the app and the profile to the device. But if you want to have one specific app version, for example, for specific devices, then you could assign the app version or the app itself explicitly to the device as well. And this explicit assignment will always overrule the implicit profile app assignment. Just one side note here. Then another topic or big topic is our new unified protocol. So we improve the way our how our devices communicate with the UMS. It will have, or it's WebSocket based. It's a single port protocol. It has a better cloud support. We support load balancers now, currently with SSL pass-through, but we are working on it to improve that as well. It has a lot of security optimizations here. And I think one of the most important information here is for normal use cases, you don't need an ICG in between the devices outside the company network and the UMS. They are communicating via WebSocket with the device connector in the UMS. And so for normal use cases, you don't need the ICG. If you say because of security reasons, we still want to have an ICG in between, that's of course possible. Here you need to update to ICG 12 if you want to manage OS 12 devices. ICG 12 can also handle OS 11 devices as before.
Florian, maybe just, I mean, just speaking about the unified protocol, I know that a couple of people out there weren't that happy with the ICG protocol because of data transfer and so on, and because of speed. I tested the OS 12 and the OS 12, and I must say it was absolutely fluent. So just in case someone was having some issues on the old ICG, this topic is more or less gone.
Yes, we have introduced more compression and a lot of other optimizations here. So really, if you weren't, or if you haven't been lucky or happy with the old ICG 2, try out the new ICG 12. This is really a major milestone here. Then in the last year, we did a lot of user tests. So we reached out to a lot of customers and we asked questions in the IGEL community. So thank you for your feedback. It's always appreciated. And a lot of this feedback we transferred into user experience features here. I just want to highlight one small feature. Probably you know it if you have several UMS environments for test, for pre-prod, prod, and so on. You sometimes get confused, okay, in which UMS I'm currently working. We do have a small feature now that you can label your UMS, and you can then see it in the menu bar, in the upper menu bar, and also in the tab in the browser. So this is just one example for a small feature, but I think this can increase the usability a lot. Then another highly requested feature, I think, is optimization in our licensing. We call it dynamic licensing. So with UMS 12 and OS 12 devices, you can now delete OS 12 devices in the UMS 12. And during the deletion, you can select if you want to remove the license from the device as well. Doing that, the license will be removed in OS 12. And on the same time, you will make the license available in the ILP again. So no manual scripting on the device or some removal in the ILP. This is all automated now. And I think this will increase the license management a lot. Another feature which you don't see on the slide here is the license exchange feature. You can find it in the ALD section as well. This is a feature that if a device has an expiring product, an expiring license from a product pack, which is not renewed, but there is another product pack with valid licenses, and there's one license available, then the UMS will just exchange the license. So you don't run into in a dead end here and have a device without running license.
So just in case, Florian, because this licensing topic was raised today by the member of the year, Milan, we have some, let's say, some concerns regarding OS 11 and licensing. So just in case of, Milan, I know you're listening, we will reach out to you separately. So please take this as a new feature, which is working pretty well, and don't see it as an OS 11 topic. We'll reach out to you separately on that.
Okay. So normally I finish my presentation with this slide because I get the most positive feedback of the audience, but I have another goodie for you, just a preview, a sneak peek about the UMS roadmap for this year. So we are currently working on 3 usability optimizations. And I know that a lot of people of the community were highly interested in these features. So it's not longer in our backlog, it's really in dev and process. So we do have, or we will have, a context menu in the UMS web app. We will have the double click. So you double click on a device or you double click on a profile, and then you can open the settings. And I think the most important one is we will offer a dark mode. But it's not only a dark mode, we will provide a totally new unified design. It's a unified design all over our products. So the UMS web app, the OS 12, and also the app portal will have the same look and feel, and you can change it into a dark mode. And there will be a lot of other features that will come in the future. And we just build the foundation here. So this will come.
We definitely need some other features now, because if we have implemented dark mode, Leon has no reason to join meetups anymore. So we definitely have to find another killing feature. But thank you very much for that already, Florian. And the context menu, should I say, finally, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Again and again, thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we go to the Q&A.
Lovely. Renee, I saw you have taken over a question, right, regarding UMS 12 and proxy.
Yeah, that was also one feedback from out our community, and there was the statement: please make sure that UMS 12 works beyond proxy configurations.
Yes. We are currently working on that. At the moment, it's not working, as you probably know, but we do work on it, and we will release it with the next version.
That's great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Another question. Sorry.
There's one workaround, if you know it. So you can download the apps manually and then roll it out via the UMS. But the devices have to be in the company network at that moment. But yeah, so there are workarounds, but it's not convenient. We are aware about it, and there will be a fix in the next version.
Thank you. There's a question from Ron. Not sure if the question belongs to you, Florian. If not, we can push it at the end. What does IGEL use for testing PXE? Any recommendations? Does it belong to you or more to Mali?
I read that question, but unfortunately, I'm not able to get a correct answer to that. So,
okay.
Siggy, do you know what PXE environment is being used for testing against PXE?
No, I was not included in this project, so.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so we'll bring the answer afterward then.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me check. There is also, oh yeah, there's a question coming from Dan. So I'm reading it in the meantime, Flo, if you want to think about it. I get the question goes in your direction mostly. Is there any more security introduced between inbound port 8443 to the ICG 12 or UMS 12? If someone landed on the ICG via 8443 and there is an open WebSocket from the UMS to the ICG, are you any more secure? Between brackets, assuming the UMS to ICG connection is using the same 8443 WebSocket, question mark. I would really like to be able to say no, UMS is just as secure, then I can deliver files updates direct from the UMS rather than another file hosting solution. Are we able to answer that already, or should we postpone the question? What do you think?
To be sure, I would like to have a proper answer from the security.
Sure.
Just to say nothing wrong here, but I don't know, Mali, if you have an answer here.
I'm not really pretty sure what the issue is. So open WebSockets, and if you're trying to connect to that open WebSocket, is that the issue we are facing here?
Not exactly, no. It's more the question, then let's push the, I'm in touch with Dan. Yeah, we'll do that separately then, because it might take too much time. If we have some time at the end, we have just 20 minutes left, so I would be sure that we cover every topic from the presentation and from the live demo, because that question is something we would like to get more secure answers. So I will copy it and share it with the PM team and come back to you then afterward.
Great. Then
let me just check if there is something else, but I guess in the meantime, it's your time again, Mali, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So if there are no any open questions, I would love to take over again and hopefully stay with you. 20 minutes. Yeah, what I've have on the agenda as the last topic for you is, as mentioned before, the new cloud services. I will really go briefly over it and then going more detailed version. And if we are doing the live demo, I think that's more exciting than just talking about the slides. But as an overview, the different cloud services which we introduced with Cosmos, well, I have to say the IGEL license portal and the customer portal where you can raise support tickets are, of course, were there before we introduced Cosmos, but they are now part of the Cosmos platform. And the three new cloud services are the app portal, which we already talked about in different slides, where our software repository is located for all applications. The Insight service giving you some recommendations on how to use our products after we gathering information from you. And then the onboarding service, which makes it really easy to use to onboard new devices, especially if you're running that new device outside your company network. The app portal, we'll skip, just here the some background information in difference to what you know as an app store from Apple, for instance. We do also provide additional versions of applications back in the history, meaning that not just the latest and greatest are available. For those of you who want to stick with a special version, you can do that. You can deploy additional endpoints with that special versions. And you should know that in combination with IGEL OS and the app portal, we have implemented that automatic dependency solving, meaning if you assign applications which requires additional applications, and these applications may just additional libraries, can be automatically solved from IGEL. There is no need for you as an administrator to care about that. Just assign the app, and IGEL will do the automatic dependency solving by pulling the additional applications down to the devices. The automatic app state stream is also something we already discussed, and the UMS as an app proxy is the best example and use case for things not working directly when you not directly connected to a cloud service, or in our case, with the issue of the proxy settings of the UMS, you could use that as a workaround. I want to mention that the app portal does cover 3 use cases in the meaning what we see as the main use case behind the app portal is for the UMS administrator running the integrated link in the UMS, jumping to the app portal, then exploring the app portal or updating application in their app sections in the UMS. That's the main use case we see, and I'm pretty sure that's most what they are using in the field, or they will use in the field. But there are also additional 2 access possibilities to the app portal. As an IT administrator or a UMS administrator, you can enable the access to the app portal directly from the IGEL OS. So there's a small app you might know, or you can compare it with the app store app on the iOS. So that's an app portal app on IGEL OS, where you get allow end users access to the app portal and directly install additional applications as a self-service. And third one is the access to the app portal just using a browser, as we discussed already, for the offline usage, and especially, and I will come back to that question which we had in the meantime, I was not able to answer with the SDK stuff. We see a use case where applications will be just available in a private environment, and then we will provide the app portal as an installable artifact, so that you can run the app portal in your own environment and publish own applications as a private application in your environment, not make it officially available using the IGEL app portal. That was one of the questions, and this comes with the ask of, do we as a community will be able to create applications? Yes, you will. You will provide the SDK also for the community, and then you will create the applications by yourself. And this will also the time where we will bring the custom partitions to the end of life, because then there is no additional need for custom partitions. So that's the plan of the SDK. Again, as an outlook, we will have 2 things which we are considering. One is the private app portal, meaning that you get an installable artifact to deploy in your environment, as mentioned before, and then the private space within the official IGEL app portal that will allow us to provide private versions of the app or of the IGEL OS itself, which is in fact then again an app in our terms. So we can dedicate, assign applications to accounts and make them available as private for that account. That is the outlook for the app portal. The OBS, that's the internal usage of the term, onboarding service is an acronym. The OBS is where you register new devices as an administrator. You configure the OBS saying where the device should look for their UMS, for the company UMS. And again, if you do not own a cloud identity, then it makes no sense to use the onboarding service. But there is another feature which you could just use by typing in the URL of the UMS 12 and one-time password to onboard devices for those who do not own a cloud identity. As an outlook for the onboarding service, currently it's only possible to use default directory rules to assign a new device to a specific folder. But in combination with the onboarding service, we will make this rule, make the user or the role of the user available in the rules of the default directory assignments, and make it possible to say this user Mali should then be routed to the device directory for product management, for instance. Yeah, that will be possible with the onboarding service as an outlook. The inside service, currently what we are gathering is an information from the devices and from the UMS or via the UMS is the software inventory, meaning which version of application, including the operating system itself, with name and version. And the second topic, what we gather as an information, is to get the hardware information where OS 12 is running on, meaning that manufacturer model, CPU or GPU, RAM, and storage information about that device. And again, it's optional to enable the inside service. By default, it's disabled. So you will be asked by installing UMS 12 if you want to use the inside service. You can disable it again if you decide to enable it every time. So the inside service is more or less a convenient optional feature as a cloud service where we provide you with some recommendations if you enable it. Good. Q&A so far?
We do, René. If you like, I guess we had a question that was raised internally.
Yeah, I can raise it. So Mali, when you think back of when we saw now everything, the journey from start developing Cosmos or think about Cosmos, what was the most challenging moment there in the last few months, years, I would say?
I have to say I started to work for IGEL, so I joined IGEL with beginning of 2021, and there were some ideas already in the mind, and some documents were created for what we call Cosmos today. At that time, it was the internal project name was Big Leap, and when I asked myself, what is the most challenging one? I thought the first thing I get in my mind was technical stuff, but then I realized that wasn't the most challenging one. The most challenging one was to really get the mind change in place for us as a company, but also with the discussions in the community as a feedback, up to discussions what we have with our shareholders at that time. So the question was, okay, what will you get with Cosmos? What is the benefit of Cosmos? And we discussed things like simple things like single sign-on. I heard from colleagues, yeah, we already have single sign-on. Why you can use a on-prem Active Directory to use single sign-on? That's correct. It's not wrong at that time. OS 11 does support single sign-off with Active Directory. But if you take the combination of what we have with single sign-on as a cloud identity, the fact of having a modularized way and being able to get the flexibility out to the customers so that they can decide when to update and things like that. That was the discussion what we have with each, and it begins with many doubters, our discussions, and just few believers. But this discussion with the doubters was the most benefit and most grateful things we had, because we realized what is the real benefit of what we've done. And with the 2.5 years, almost like when I start with IGEL, we got more believers, decreasing the doubters, and with now having that in place and generally available, and the great feedback we get, and also in the early access program, we understood that we are on a good path, and that was really the most challenging one, to have the breadth from 2.5 years ago to that date where we are now. So we're really happy to present your Cosmos world, and with your help, with the help of the community, and with your feedback, with your great discussions and questions you asked, you helped us to bring that product in place. Thank you very much, Steph, for that, for sure.
And that's definitely a huge statement, a huge commitment, because for all of you who didn't took the chance or couldn't be able to join, we had 2 different early access program phases inside of the IGEL community, where you had the ability to test the early version of the product already in or was it summer last year, something like that. So really, really early version. And I know that it also costs a lot of time on your end, so on IGEL community members, because you're not working for IGEL, you're working for your own company, and taking the time to test and to bring our product to the next level is something priceless. So also from my end, a huge, huge thank you for everyone who helped us on that and is still helping us and giving feedback in the IGEL community. So in case you are not part of it, please join us on IGELcommunity.com and join the IGEL community to get your hands on really early access versions of our products. Coming back to another question, because we just have 5 minutes left. So I will try to cover the last 3 questions from the Q&A, since right now in the chat it's getting calmer. So we have a question regarding the Imprivata agent on IGEL OS 12. Keegan is asking, we use Imprivata agent on OS 11, but I cannot see it in the app portal. Is there a roadmap for availability of apps?
I think the Siggy showed the outlook of the next application which will be available, but for the IGEL Imprivata agent in detail, what I can say is that we are in the last, I would say, polishing of the app, and will really shortly available. And when I mean shortly, I really mean the time frame of the next 4 weeks. So the only thing what we need to make sure is that we have the legal process in place to make it available for everybody. That's the main. So technically there is no blocker anymore. We have some legal process to go through to make it available.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I will split the next question. Maybe Rene, would you like to take over a question from Dan?
I had another question that
please
me.
go for it.
It was around our cloud services and the Inside Service report. Do you already know where it will be visible? It is in the Cosmos portal or in the UMS for web?
It's planned for both.
Mm-hmm.
We will have a front end for the Inside Service where you can get the information, but we will also utilize the notification functionality of the UMS web app to present the outcomes of our evaluation of the information. So things like if an application is being deprecated because it's out of maintenance, you will get that information into your UMS web app as a notification. So it makes easy, and you will only get that information for sure when you download and deployed that application. So not as a broadcast to all UMS administrators, but really dedicated to whom it's interested in.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Last question before closing the session. I would like to know if this Linux third-party database is still relevant. And with OS 12, is hardware compatibility an area of focus? So the third-party hardware database on IGEL.com, in case it's in the Q&A section of your Zoom client, if someone is able to answer that question. I mean, I would answer yes and yes, but prefer to have you confirm that.
I would love Michali to take this question if he is available. I'm not sure.
At least he is there.
Yes, I am. I'm available. So I think the first part of the question, maybe Siegfried could better answer than me about the third-party database. Siegfried, or shall I?
No, I'm fine. So it's still valid for OS 11 in this case, right? But we're focusing more and more on partner certified solutions, I would say. So like you're seeing from Kohli and so on, they are mainly getting on the IGEL Ready program, and it will be visible via the IGEL Ready program itself, I would say. That does not mean that the OS 11 or the old hardware database is just gone. It's still there and it's still valid.
So just in case someone is not part of the IGEL community, we have a hardware compatibility list also on the IGELcommunity.com website, where you can check if a hardware was tested on OS 11, and we will enhance that testing on OS 12. Sorry, Michali, no to you.
And no problem. I just wanted to add to what Siegfried said. So as he mentioned, that this is mostly concerning elder IGEL OS versions, and what we offer today is the IGEL OS, the IGEL showcase website, which I was referring also in my slide earlier, where you can find everything that is newly supported from IGEL. So you can find everything there.
Okay, perfect. So I would say now that we have 1 minute left, let's take the time to thank you guys from product management, but also all the people who are working behind the scenes, like the quality assurance team, the dev team, the support team, every person in IGEL who is working for the IGEL OS 12 topic, which is more or less everyone from a technical perspective, to give you a big kudo, a big thank you for all the work that you did in the last years. I know it was a tough time. We just had to fight with the fire in front of the IGEL community, but you had also to fight with the fire inside of the company. So not only taking the time to be there today, but also for all you did. A big thank you from the IGEL community perspective for all you did, all you're doing, and all you will do in the future. And I can't thank you enough for just being there, answering our questions, and even if it's late on our end, also staying late in the IGEL Community Meetup. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to work with you guys.
Thank you very much. I would love
Thank you, everyone.
to take the opportunity just a second to also thank you, Sebastian, and you, René, to giving us that platform to get in contact with the IGEL community. I really love talking to you guys and also the community itself, of course. It's really helping us to set the right priorities going forward. Thank you very much for that opportunity.
Likewise. Okay, I will stop the recording right now. So see you next time, guys. I will share the recording on our YouTube channel, but also on the IGELcommunity.com videos subsite and on the IGELcommunity.com Slack announcement section. I wish you a pleasant the rest of the day for the North American people, and a great evening for the EMEA ones. See you next time, and bye-bye.
Thank you.